What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package update and daily news report for Tuesday, January 18th. So today is actually going to be a very big day for the Senate. What we know is that they have a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff that is going to kind of hinder off of what happens today. Okay, so today, according to reports from The Hill, the Senate is actually going to be moving forward with their voting rights bill. And their plan as of right now is to hold a special in-person caucus meeting at 5 p.m. today. Now, according to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he's demanding that this is going to be in person. And the reason for this is because this is going to be the first meeting that's in person since the Omicron variant surge. It's also going to be the first meeting since Senators Kyrsten Sinema and Senator Joe Manchin said that they didn't support a filibuster rules change. So they do not want to do this over the phone. They want to do this in person. They want to hear from people. They want to see people when they either vote for or against the bill. Now, the voting rights bill, it likely won't pass until, it will not pass until there's either 10 Republicans who agree to invoke cloture, which as of right now is very unlikely, but it could happen, or all 50 Senate Democrats agree to change the filibuster rules, which as of right now, I believe there's only 47. I believe there's only 47 senators that are in agreement that yes, let's change the filibuster rules. But Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are the ones that are getting all the heat and all the flack. So the interesting part right now is that Republicans were actually never even asked about working together on a voting rights bill. And I bring this up because President Biden, he stated almost a year ago, when he was running for president, and even after he was elected, he stated that Congress needs to pass bipartisan bills. That the only way we can get through this, we have to ultimately bring the two sides together, and that would unite the American people. But that doesn't seem like that's his priority at this moment. Even Republican Senator Mitt Romney stated that he hasn't heard from the White House. He hasn't heard from President Biden about an upcoming election reform bill. And he even said, and I quote, "Sadly, this election reform bill that the president has been pushing, I never got a call on that from the White House." And he even goes on to state, and I quote, "There was no negotiation bringing Republicans and Democrats together to try and come up with something that would meet bipartisan interest. Sure, we can work together on almost every issue where there's common ground." And he later said this, and I quote, "Bringing us together means finding a way to work on a bipartisan basis. He had one success, the infrastructure bill, and that was done by Republicans and Democrats in the Senate working together, build on that kind of success." And I think this is interesting because that's exactly what Democrats have said as well, is that we had this success from this massive $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. We should have been building on that success. That was very motivating to get that done. We saw momentum, and this is something that Democrats were preaching was, why we have momentum, let's get the next bill going. That's why the Build Back Better Act was considered the next bill, because they were already discussing that. They were very close in negotiations, or at least that's what was thought to be the case. And so really the hard part is, why weren't all these bills packaged together and passed one after the other? Senator Mitt Romney, he said that he is part of a small group of about, I think it's like 12 Republicans and Democrat senators, that they're trying to put together a bipartisan election reform bill. But there are no discussions on passing something like that at this time. That's just not what they're looking at. So this brings up the next question. What is Democrats' plan B? Do they even have one? Well, they do. Right now, Democrats are actually discussing how to allow debate to occur in the easiest form. And the solution, which is not very easy, the solution is to sit for potentially days or weeks and listen to Republicans stage a talking filibuster to block the voting rights legislation. That's the discussion. Just do a talking filibuster, sit there, let Republicans read whatever they want to read, right? It doesn't matter. They can read, 50 Shades of Grey if they want to. They can read any book. They can talk about whatever they want to do. Their upcoming plans for go on their next vacation, what they did over the holidays. They can do just about anything. So right now, that is still on the table. But no lawmaker wants to go through this. Whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're for or against the voting rights legislation, you do not want to go through a talking filibuster. It is boring. It's interesting, but it is boring. Okay? Now, here's what we know. Before anything can get done on the Build Back Better Act, the voting rights bill must be taken up, or we at least have to address it. The filibuster change must be agreed to, and then Democrats can possibly get something done with the Build Back Better Act. But as of right now, the Build Back Better Act is simply waiting in the wings to be negotiated. We know Senator Joe Manchin has stated that no, he's not in discussions with anybody regarding the Build Back Better Act. This means the child tax credit payments are not going to pass. This means one payment in January definitely isn't going to happen because we're 3 days late for that. We could potentially see 2 payments in February, but even as of right now, if there's no negotiations, chances are this bill doesn't pass anytime within the first week or 2 of February, which means that a payment for February would be delayed again. And so that could be 2 months of missed payments for children and parents. We also know that this means that we will not see anything regarding expanding Medicare. We won't see universal pre-K. We are not going to see climate change provisions. We're not going to see more money go to the IRS to go after tax cheats. We're not going to see money go to things like other things like childcare. What else we got? There's a lot of stuff in this bill. There's a lot in this bill. Prescription drug medications are going to cost more. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. We're not going to see that. And so even though when you take polls and a lot of surveys, you see that the American people, yes, they want to see the Build Back Better Act, but the Build Back Better Act that they saw previously, a bigger, more expansive, more transformative bill, that's what they want to see. Not this really watered down piece of legislation that's being pushed right now. So we'll see what's happening moving forward. But as of right now, things are not looking great for the Build Back Better Act, the voting rights bill, or the filibuster. Things could ultimately just fall apart, which could hurt Democrats in the midterm elections. But here's what is happening. While all this stuff is happening, economists point to the fact that inflation is still hurting the American people. But how can we address this? One of the things that they're saying is shipping companies are one of the reasons why we're seeing massive inflation at this time. A report yesterday from Bloomberg shows that shipping companies made off with about $150 billion in 2021, and economists are warning that these companies are simply stoking inflation. They say that they are exploiting our desperation by charging sky-high freight costs, which are later passed on to the end consumer, which is you and I. Just to give you an idea of how inflated these prices are, a 40-foot container from Asia to the United States was once about $20,000 last year in 2021. It's currently hovering right around $14,000, and just a few years ago, you could get the same container for about $2,000. That's what it would cost. So experts predict that shipping prices are going to remain elevated for at least a couple of years. And right now, these shipping rates are high because of the demand that we are seeing. But here's the interesting part. With China imposing sweeping lockdowns, some expect we will see additional supply chain issues moving forward. And when we have additional supply chain issues we're pretty much coupled with high shipping costs and freight costs, it's going to mean the limited amount of supplies that we have here in the United States are actually going to cost even more. So inflation might not be going away anytime soon. So this is not the best news that we are hearing at this time, but this is what we know, is that there's already supply chain issues and they could be getting much worse. So let's talk about jobs for a minute. And I want to talk about this because we are going to see a potential employment crisis. We're seeing people move from city to city or state to state. We're seeing people that had, kind of lower income jobs. They're leaving those jobs for something better, which is great. But at the same time, it's leaving some of those open positions still open. But in states like Texas, Arizona, Idaho, and even Utah, they've actually recovered all the jobs that they lost when COVID first hit. That's great news. But here's the interesting thing. Experts are saying that these are all Republican-led states, and they believe, and they're pointing to the fact that these states all having more relaxed COVID restrictions is part of the reason why they came in and got a very quick economic recovery. That's likely the case. So I thought that was interesting. I wanted to bring that up. But we also know that work from home is becoming the new normal. Many employers are making work from home a permanent part of the job, and data suggests that roughly 30 to 40% of workdays will be remote, at least moving forward. Now, this will likely extend long after the pandemic is over, because just to give you an idea of how things have shifted, before the pandemic, we were about 5% of workdays were from home. In the second to last week of December, 42.4% of US workdays were worked from home. That's a big shift. So that's what we're seeing at this time. I just wanted to fill you in on kind of the news that we're seeing, what is going on for today and also later on this week. But as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. Just wanted to fill you in on what was going on. Just want to thank you guys for watching. If you can do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. Also, consider subscribing so you never miss an update and I can keep you updated on everything that is going on. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.